As always, donate to Jumpstart. Jumpstart helps economically disadvantaged kids play team sports, which is something that's near and dear to Rachel and I's hearts. So if you go to the links in this description below, pretty much all the information that you will need to donate is there. So we really encourage you, if you can, to do so. Again, it's a great cause. We love Jumpstart. They are our charity of choice. If you can, please donate.
That kind of day, huh?
Yeah, I have to. The kind of day where you got to crack open a zero sugar cherry Coke to do it. Yeah.
Have you tried the Poppy cherry cola? Or there was like a prebiotic soda cherry cola. My friend's super into cherry cola and said it was really good. I wondered if you had tried it.
Sorry, it's a what?
And there's a
cola?
doc. That's the one I was. Okay, it's not cherry cola. Yeah, there is a cherry cola one, but there's one. It's called Poppy, and it's called Doc Pop, and it's the Dr. Pepper pop like prebiotic soda, and apparently it's super good.
Dr. Pepper has prebiotic soda?
No. Like a company who makes prebiotic soda is called Poppy.
Oh.
They were recently bought by Pepsi.
I did not know.
So it's
that.
like
okay.
It's like soda that is actually
Good for your
like
gut.
it doesn't have. Yeah, but it doesn't have like crazy health benefits. It's just not bad for your gut the way that like 39 grams of sugar in Coca-Cola is. And they have a Dr. Pepper flavor. And I keep either seeing it on TikTok or hearing online that it's actually pretty good. And I was like, I need to ask Mike about this. It's been like 3 weeks, and I keep forgetting.
I have Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. I don't have the Poppy version. I just have Dr.
Okay,
Pepper Zero
new
Sugar.
adventure for next week. Mike is
All right,
going to taste test.
Well, we'll have a lot of time to do it.
Why we don't have hockey to watch?
I want to treat this podcast, Rachel, like a time capsule.
Okay.
And I think it could be kind of funny because right now, like, again, pulling back the curtain, we're recording this on Thursday, May 15th. The Leafs just absolutely blew chunks on home ice in Game 5. They're now down 3-2 in the series to the...
That was legit. That performance was like the equivalent of Greg Norman shooting a 10 on Masters Sunday.
We will get into it. Do not worry. Do not even worry your little self. But the reason I want to keep this as not keep as a time capsule is because we're gonna do as much of an autopsy on a living body as possible right now, and it could all look ridiculous by the time you get around to listening to this podcast.
I hope it does, because that means that they're playing next week, and I think both of us don't think that that's a distinct possibility.
So let's just hop right into it, because we have to make this a relatively shorter pod this week. So we might as well, cut down on the nonsense, on the fat, and get right to the meat. And I have to say this.
And we will hold
an actual eulogy. Like, we'll do a funeral for the Core 4 and everything. Like,
yeah, but we will hold the full-blown redux of the Core 4 and specifically a certain member of it until all of this is done, because that will be a special episode on its own.
That will be a special day for me. Now that I'm not... Listen, I'm going to make this about myself for a second, Rachel. Sorry. But, now that I'm not in media, I can actually voice, my opinion on stuff that doesn't have to be carefully manicured and whatnot. I don't think I've ever hated an athlete the way I hate Mitch Marner. In my entire life.
Hey, be careful. Rocket is listening.
Well, I wouldn't want to go on a golf course with that guy. But it's... Definitely not. But it is unbelievable. This, it took me a day to really sort of wrap my head around the context of this. As much as when you're in the media, you try and look at things objectively, you still are a human being. You still have emotions, and you also still have these things that matter to you in your livelihood. And Steve Dangle has similar things. Obviously, him to a far bigger extent, but Mitch Marner personally cost me money. If Mitch Marner shows up in any of these playoff series and the Leafs go an extra round or something, who knows what who knows if Yahoo Sports Canada is still in business right now? I'll be straight up. If the Leafs keep going, Like, I remember
Yeah.
when I was working for Yahoo during the pandemic, we had planned for the Leafs to go on a run because it looked like they were ready. It was the bubble. And, like, they basically had to play Columbus, and they would have played some crap teams. Like, it would have been... And they blew it in Columbus. We had to pivot to an NHL-wide show that obviously wasn't... Like, we had to pivot our show called Live, Laugh, Leafs to an NHL-wide show that, like, obviously wasn't going to pull it. Like, if you're a fan of any other team, even though Live, Laugh, Leafs is covering the NHL, like, at large, why are you going to tune into a show called Live, Laugh, Leafs if you're a Habs fan that is still in the playoffs, right? Like, it's ridiculous. But I think about, like, he owes me a summer of my life, summer of 2018, especially because they just signed John Tavares. The mood could not be happier around the team. And then Mitch Marner proceeds to go on the most ludicrous contract holdout we've seen in the modern era from an NHL player, only to miss like one day of training camp and then basically cave. And then I go to
you know what's so funny is like
what?
People forget that William Nylander held out until 20 minutes before
December.
the signing deadline on December 1st. But guess what? The reason why William Nylander doesn't have the same vitriol, two reasons. One, when he eventually caved, he took a hell of a lot less than he could have. And number two, of the core four, William Nylander, by far, is the best playoff performer. And it is very not close.
Without a doubt.
Him and Morgan Riley are in a tier by themselves. Matthew Nyes is very much like approaching that level of tier. It just hasn't been long enough, but he's like in that situation. And then there's a lot of just nonsense outside of that. Which is why the whole, like, calling for Morgan Riley to be traded, I'm like, of all the people you're calling for to be traded right now, that people is a choice.
People are just upset, and he's being a long-term piece. Like, it's... I understand why emotional people are doing that. I don't agree with it, but I understand why. But even, like, he's had every opportunity to leave, and he has stayed. And then I go to this season. And the reporting from Chris Johnson in his column today about the core
I did not read that. Do you want to fill me in?
Sure. So it wasn't even sort of like a scoop. He just sprinkled it in. And it wasn't the focal point. It wasn't how it was. It wasn't how it was marketed. It wasn't. It was just like it was just sprinkled in there. And that is that a divorce between the Leafs. Marner probably wants a fresh start. Like I don't think he Chris Johnson's like the sentiment is he just doesn't want to come back. He wants a fresh start. You know, like
Mike,
he wants...
do you have your driver's license yet? Because I think you'll be the first person to sign up to drive him to Pearson.
No, I'm gonna shoot him out of the city in a medieval catapult. Like for real. I hate this guy. Like seriously, it'll be like old timey and just
medieval
shoot him
take him to medieval times, open up the roof, and just fire him out of the catapult.
Have you researched what the schools are like, what the daycares and the preschools are like in Columbus, Ohio, or the Chicago area?
I think he ends up either Chicago or Nashville, and for two reasons. One, tax-free state is going to matter because Darren Ferris, and Dallas is obviously out of the question now. So is Vegas, and Tampa and Florida would completely be out of the question because they're already in cap hell. So, okay, where does that leave you with tax-free states, right? And he can't go to a team that doesn't that isn't a big a big team in their market or just generally because he's going to lose all that endorsement money. He can't go play in Ottawa or Columbus or they're small fish. You go to Chicago, brands are still going to want to work with you because you're a premier athlete there. You go to Nashville, Nashville's huge now. Your brands are going to want to work with you. So he has to be very selective about where he goes because he is going to lose. You think Intact Insurance is going to do stuff with him when he is the most hated ex-Leaf in history? Larry Murphy has nothing on this guy.
Oh, no. Like Vince Carter has nothing on this guy. Like it's like at the time, he's beloved now, but at the time, like Vince Carter was.
Will
the most
Mitch
hated
Marner
athlete.
ever be beloved the way Vince Carter is now?
Absolutely
There's no
not.
way, right?
No, absolutely not.
Because the lasting legacy, I thought about this after game 5. The lasting legacy of Mitch Marner in Toronto, and this has nothing to do with him as a person. I'm talking strictly on the ice. The lasting legacy of Mitch Marner is going to be that he turned down
Yep.
Or he like he
waived his
nixed he nixed a trade for Mikko Rantanen, who has more goals in this playoff year than Marner does over the lifetime of his contract. And then the nail in the coffin is the no-look backhand spinorama up the middle and losing your guy on the turnover to make it 3-0 in Game 5. That is going to be the lasting image of Mitch Marner in Toronto. It's not going to be Austin Matthews. It's not going to be John Tavares. But that is absolutely going to be Mitch Marner's lasting impression here. And that is, like, you can come back and do a video montage. I honestly think that might be a terrible idea because he's going to get booed. Like, he's going to get booed. And, I mean, do you have to fire Brendan Shanahan? I feel like you do, right?
They should have fired him 2 years ago. Mitch, you know what, honestly? Those plays encapsulated everything that was wrong about Mitch Marner. Like the spinorama backhand, losing his guy in the forecheck, and then staring up at the video board for 30 seconds after the goal, like completely flabbergasted with horrible body language. Like,
you mean to tell me that one of the best teams in the entire league took advantage of my idiotic play?
I know, it's crazy. Now that is definitely. But what gets me is after the game, and this guy. For someone who, like, does as many press opportunities as he does, for someone who has the Marner Foundation, like, charity tournament, the guy who, was in every commercial, the guy who was hawking freaking, booster
Red
juice
Bull.
and Red Bull and
pizza and insurance,
and yada, yada. Intact insurance and yada, 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 and a million things. It's like this guy has never had media training before. Because Chris Tanev, potentially the least sort of like responsible guy out there, or the guy who has the least responsibility when it comes to this loss. Chris Tanev, still he was -2, but he played a very good game.
Chris Tanev is like the least of the Leafs' worries right now.
Exactly. He comes out and says, "This is on me. If I'm a minus player, we're likely not going to win a game. I take full responsibility for this." Austin Matthews. Exactly. Austin Matthews even, And there's a lot to be said about this. Questioning whether he deserves the captaincy. Where this guy's going. And honestly, they're going to they're gonna come out after this series and they're gonna say that Austin Matthews was playing with a severed spinal cord and like rectal cancer or something. And honestly, it will not change anything for me. Like, because at a certain point, if you're getting paid $13.25 million, part of the expectation is that you maintain your body. You stay healthy. In the middle of the season, instead of pushing through to play a meaningless Tuesday night game in February against Buffalo, you get your treatment. You get surgery. You do, like...
You maybe don't play at Four Nations.
Like, I was going to say, like, Four Nations, it was a huge moment. He got to be the captain of his country and all that, and that's great. Your country's not paying you anything, man. Like, there's monetary... Like you are the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You could be
Look at what Quinn Hughes did.
Exactly. You could be the captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets, or the captain of the Anaheim Ducks. Doesn't matter. You're the captain of your team that's paying you $13.25 million a year, the highest paid player in the league. It's your responsibility to ensure that when the games matter, you are as prepared as humanly possible for them. So and also, this has happened every year. I cannot remember a season when Austin Matthews has gone into the playoffs healthy. So something either has to change with his off-season training. Something's got to change with his in-season training. Maybe he needs to go to a new doctor. Maybe the Leafs need to get a new doctor. I don't know, but like whatever it is, okay, whatever.
One thing I'll point out about Austin, and I completely agree. Like you're getting paid $13.25. Like you got to be. You look at like what Patrick Marleau does to take care of his body when he was playing and whatever.
Another perennial loser though. Like,
well, you know what? Patrick Marleau made the Cup final. Austin Matthews has not done that.
That's true.
So what I will say about this is the difference between, at least to my eye this year, the difference between Austin Matthews this year and Austin Matthews in previous years is in previous years, we felt like we were getting nothing from Austin Matthews. The one thing you absolutely can't argue, at least this year, and I'm not saying it's good enough, is he has been, in a series that has 2 Selke nominees in it, by far the best defensive forward in, like, he is completely nullified Florida's top line, like Barkov, Reinhart, none of those guys are scoring, and that is a testament to how well Matthews is playing. Here's the problem, though. you can shut guys down, you have to also be able to score. That is how the Kings won the cup, because Anze Kopitar did both.
So Austin Matthews comes out after the game last night and he says, we all need to take a look in the mirror, myself included, haven't been good enough. That's great.
Okay, good.
You know, William Nylander, you know, this is terrible, but like I take responsibility. We all have to be better.
Even though William Nylander was the best
Was
leap
the
on
best
the ice
player.
last night.
Mitch Marner, we got to flush this down the toilet.
No, he did not say that.
He did. Exact words. And he has said that. And funny enough, James, because this was reported first by James Myrtle, good friend.
You
of
could
mine.
have just retweeted that from last year.
He said the exact same thing on October 22nd, 2024. So this season, the exact same thing.
Okay, here's
Someone
the difference,
found it.
Mike. This isn't October.
No, but like, I just find it so funny that like this guy has a catchphrase for terrible losses.
Did you see what he said today? They asked him what it's like. This could potentially. Has he thought at all about this potentially being his last game at home? No, I haven't thought about it at all. You absolute liar! Because my inbox says otherwise.
How stupid! Like this is what I hate. Mitch Marner thinks you're stupid. Mitch Marner thinks you're an idiot.
Let me ask you something, Mike, because you are a self-proclaimed Mitch Marner hater.
Absolutely.
Austin comes out and says what he says. Willie comes out. Tanev comes out. If Mitch Marner steps to the microphone yesterday and said, that effort from our entire team was absolutely unacceptable, myself included, I cannot make that play on that goal, and we all got to get our shit together and get ready for Game 6. If he comes out and says that, we're probably not having this conversation right now, because then it's like, oh, wait a minute.
100%. I wouldn't, like, if he came out and he was like, you're right, the buck stops with me. I'm getting paid like the second most amount of money on this team. You know, like yada yada yada. I can't make a play like that. I'm a leader on this team. I wear a letter. You know, like it. Being here for almost a decade now, we've got to step it up, and we recognize this is completely unacceptable. We're going to go out there and we're going to take Game 6 and we're going to push this to 7. I wouldn't have believed him, but it would have gone. But it would have gone a long way. And so I you know, like I haven't tweeted very much recently, but I was going on Twitter yesterday just to take a look at the response of the game, and the amount of like there's a very vocal minority of people who still believe in this team, and if you ever and let me say this, like let me say this to the masses out there, to those people. If you ever, like, first of all, those are the most loyal people. Like, you need to hold on to those people if you find them. You need to hug them. You need to cherish them, because these people have been through hell. These are, like, I don't even know, like, these people put golden retrievers to shame when it comes to how loyal they are.
That's
seriously.
marriage material.
This is like the, you know, in the rom-com where the girl, like the pretty girl this is like a sitcom where there's the hottest woman you've ever seen, and she's married to like Kevin James, and he like and he keeps like, you know, being like, but babe, I want to like drink some beers with the boys. Like, why do we have to go on a date night? And she still like puts up with them. That's what those people are like. But I also think that most of you are adults. So I have to say this: if you ever give this team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, whether it's this iteration of them or the next, and that next could be coming very, very quickly, if you ever give them the benefit of the doubt ever again for any of this, because I saw a lot of it after they lose Game 3 in overtime, after they blow a 3-1 lead, people go, oh, they looked really good. They'll be back next game. If you ever give this team the benefit of the doubt again, you're an idiot. You are.
What did you and I text each other the moment Brad Marchand scored?
It's over.
It's over in 6. It's over in 6.
Yeah, and so there's a director at work. Him and I, you know, we have a great rapport, and you know, him and I text all the time during these games, and I came into work today, and he just was like, "How are we feeling?" You know, kind of thing, and
can I have a sick day, sir?
Everyone was like, "I can't believe you showed up to work today." And I'm like, "Well, you know, I'm here to."
But I bet you that Oilers Mavs fan's having a blast right now.
He brought the Mavs backpack back.
Also, we need to have a chat about that draft lottery at some point.
We're getting to that next.
Oh, okay, solid.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. It is total. Don't you worry. We're getting to that next. But I was like, when I'm like, listen, I owe you an apology because I'm the boy who cried over. Because every time the Leafs get scored on, I text them, it has never been more over. I always text them that. And that and doing so has blunted the true fact and reality that at this very moment, this is the moment, truly, where it has never, ever been more over.
So 3 coaches.
2 general managers.
3 general
3
managers.
general managers, yes.
1 president.
Which is part of the problem.
Is kind of crazy. But yeah, 3
How many
coaches
assistant coaches?
and
How many?
3 general 8,000.
Honestly, there's double digits, right? Like,
well, okay, so Manny Malhotra left and is now the Abbotsford coach. Spencer Carberry left and is going to win the Jack Adams. You have
DJ
Lane
Smith.
Lambert, Mark Savard, Mike Van Ryn currently, DJ Smith, Jim Hiller.
yeah, Jim Hiller, Dean Chenoth.
Dean Chanel. Okay, we're at 8 already.
We had Paul McLean. He
Paul
was a coach.
McLean, Eye in the Sky. Oh my God.
There's more that we're missing. Like I'm thinking, but there
They
were
also
definitely more.
there was a goalie coach that left.
Oh, it was Steve Briere left.
Steve
and now it's
Briere,
Curtis,
because
now
now
it's
Curtis
Hanford.
Hanford. We're in double digits. Like this, at some point.
I was
it's
11
just
by
not,
my count.
Yeah, at some point, it's just not.
Haley Wickenheiser, if you want to include her, she's still there, but
No, but no, she's in management.
okay, she's
She's
in
not a
management
coach.
now.
But what here's the thing is, so it's kind of a conclusion that Mitch Marner is leaving at this point.
Yeah,
I would
thank God.
I would not be surprised if John Tavares left, but I could also see them saying, like, if he wants $5 million to be the third line center in the new cap world, that I can be on side with, because $5 million for a third line center is the going rate, and you know that guy is good in the room, and if you pay him 5, like, that's fine, kind of thing. But to me, like, William Nylander needs to be wearing a letter, and Chris Tanev needs to be wearing a letter next year. Like, without question, those are where the letters need to be.
I also want to. So a lot of people have like, all right, you let Marner go, you let Marner walk. The cap's going up. You sign Sam Bennett.
No.
Sam Bennett's and like you can say no.
Literally
because,
no. You know where Mitch Marner's money can go to, Mike?
Where?
Matthew Nyes.
Yeah, but I also say like a lot of people want Sam Bennett, and I say no.
No.
You know why? It's not because of his. It's not because of his performance. It's not because of his numbers. It's not because of his. It's not even because of his grit, or whatever. It's because his agent is Darren Ferris.
And the moment he pulls any of that in a Leaf uniform, he is getting suspended.
Oh,
Like,
without a doubt.
you know who I actually want the Leafs to go after this summer?
Who?
Matt Duchene.
Can you imagine coming from Dallas? What like the culture that they built there, the killers that they have in that locker room, over to Toronto, where everyone's having high tea after practice, and like everyone
High
there's, like,
tea, I'm
like
dead.
and they're getting manicures and like it's ridiculous. Like I can't stand them. I just can't stand them.
I'm gonna look
They
at the
are
list of free
so-
agents right now.
It's a pretty weak list too. Like it's not a great crop this year.
Okay, there's a couple guys I'd be down with. Aaron Ekblad is still good, and PEDs aside. Brock Besser, noted playoff psychopath.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Noted playoff psychopath. I would definitely take him. Yanni Gord is a yup
At a reduced
And-
price for sure.
at a reduced price. And also, Nikolai Ehlers, I would most certainly take on the Toronto Maple Leaf Hockey Club.
Nikolai Ehlers is a good one. I like that.
But I also know that they're probably getting Brandon Tanev, so all of that is a pipe dream. But honestly, like, Brandon Tanev is exactly the kind of thing you need in the bottom 6. And perhaps, Nick Robertson gets an elevated role. God only knows. I mean, he scored.
Nick Robertson's not coming back. They're gonna be like, get out of here.
God,
like
it's so frustrating. Anyways, all right, shall we?
let's talk about another injustice. The Dallas Mavericks. I want you to tell me things that you think you can conceivably think would have a 1.8% chance of happening?
The Toronto Maple Leafs beating the Florida Panthers in the current series.
I think, like, I can't think of very many things that I could realistically say there's a 1.8% chance of this thing happening, and then I could look it in my head and see it like an actual realistic path to it happening. You know?
I straight up have a better chance of getting pregnant on birth control because that's 98% accurate than the Dallas Mavericks did of winning the draft lottery. Like, no joke.
I have a better chance of getting pregnant than the Dallas Mavericks.
That's like anatomically impossible, but okay.
Exactly. It should have been anatomically impossible for this stupid team to now to luck into their third consecutive generational white boy. Unbelievable. The Dallas Mavericks.
What would be karma though?
What?
If he was a bust. What if he was Andrea Bargnani?
But now I'm rooting for Cooper Flagg to be a bust.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm rooting for that. I'm just saying that
Cooper Flagg did have the McDavid 1,000-yard stare when he learned.
Damn,
he was like, oh no.
Okay, but this is insane. Like, you trade Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and then you win the draft lottery, the 1.8% chance. Like, I'm not saying that there was fraud there. Because like then you'd be saying EY was involved, and like I don't love doing that. But what I'm going to say is this, and this matters for the NHL and the NBA, and honestly, I think because the MLB draft is like mid-season. They need to do what the PWHL does. Most points accumulated after official elimination from playoff contention, you draft in that order.
Yeah.
So if you were eliminated on the second last game of the season and you win your last game, you've only accumulated 2 points. If you're the San Jose Sharks and you were eliminated in February or March and you have like 12 games to accumulate points, then you have the most games. But basically what it does is it eliminates tanking, because if you're out, you have to win games. You want to win. You're trying not to throw the game. Plus, it makes every game meaningful, because what happens when you have, let's say this year, Chicago and San Jose playing on the second last day of the season, everyone is watching that. Everyone's watching that. Because it's whoever wins this game gets the rights to X. So think about next year, for example, Gavin freaking McKenna. Imagine having the last day of the season, 2 teams, and it's like, we gotta watch double screen to see which team wins the rights to Gavin McKenna. Like, you should not be lottery winning anything. You should have to earn that player. And I think that's legitimately the only way to get rid of tanking and to get rid of this conspiracy theory. Like, we had conspiracy theories about the Islanders, and they did the lottery on camera.
Yeah. Was it boring? Yes.
Yes.
But I'm glad that they did that they actually showed the draw, so at least no one could come back on them for that. But it's downright absurd that this is happening, and I don't know. I don't even know what there is to say about it. Namely, because there's a decent chance that. And I doubt he would be dumb enough to do this again. But then again, he did trade Luka Doncic in the first place. And if this
I was
going to
say Nico Harrison trading the first overall pick.
Like, he could, like, the Mavs have been very open about their love for Giannis Antetokounmpo for a while.
Did you hear what came out this morning?
What, that Giannis is interested in the Raptors?
Yeah, and not at all interested in Dallas.
Well, he doesn't have a no-trade clause, so...
Wild. But I also think the Bucks are gonna... The Bucks, from everything I've heard, because, like, I have a couple friends who work in the association, and I've asked about Giannis, because I think, like, he's so entertaining to watch, and I don't really follow basketball, but I do love watching a guy like Giannis, Steph Curry, Doncic, like, those kind of guys, right? I asked, and the consensus from, like, at least the 3 people who I talked to that work in the association was that even though he doesn't have, like, trade protection, the Bucks want to do right by him because of everything he's given to the organization. And I'm like, wow, what a concept. Like...
That's amazing. But it also goes to show, like, if worse comes to worse, and Giannis just starts rejecting trades willy-nilly,
Right.
they still have the power to trade him. Because there's like 2 guys in the NBA who have a no trade clause, 2 or 3. I literally think it's LeBron James, Steph Curry, and for some reason, Bradley Beal. It is those 3 guys. Bradley Beal has a no trade clause. In the NHL,
You know what's wild is like Giannis, like who is the NHL equivalent of Giannis in terms of skill? Never mind contract.
Giannis, like the NHL equivalent to Giannis is someone who is like just so physically gifted and powerful. Like,
is it Nathan McKinnon?
Yeah, I think it is.
Imagine if Nathan McKinnon had no trade protection. Like,
hey, imagine if Mikko
the
Rantanen had no trade protection and they just traded him in the middle of the season. Can you imagine how crazy that would be? And then imagine he got traded again in the same season. How crazy would that be?
No, but like imagine. Okay, so you just described this in basketball. Like, imagine only Connor McDavid and
Leon Draisaitl
and
Nathan
Leon
McKinnon.
Draisaitl and Cale Makar had trade protection.
No,
and that's it.
If it was like a draft or like an actual comparison based on, like Steph, LeBron, and Bradley Beal, it would be if Draisaitl, McDavid, and Jason Zucker were the only people who had trade protection. Like, that's what it would be like.
Wild. But yeah, so I mean, I think that the gold plan is what both the NHL and the NBA need to adopt. Mm-hmm. Because this lottery nonsense is crazy. And plus, like, you have one night of the draft lottery. What if you had a bunch of ratings for a bunch of teams because they were fighting down the stretch for the first overall pick?
There you go. But then again, like that means, would that mean that people would buy after they get eliminated at the deadline? Would that eliminate sellers, though?
I think it depends, because if you're San Jose, like, you want to get eliminated as quickly as possible, but then you still got to have guys on your team. And this is what, you know what it does prevent? Is it prevents teams from, like, sitting their guys down the stretch, from just being like, yeah, we're going to play the young players, from putting guys on LTIR and just being like, all right, see you later. Like, that kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to, like, there's an actual prize for winning the games.
That is true. I would feel like, I don't know.
I still think you would see teams sell. What I think it might eliminate is, I think you would see teams sell pending free agents, but guys who have like a year, so like a Burakovsky or a Brandon Carlo, I think you'd probably see them either kept or moved for a bigger sort of package.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot of emphasis too on like roster players, maybe like matching salary or something like that in turn. Like, because you still have to have bodies that fill out your roster and guys who could potentially win.
I also think another rule that needs to go in the new CBA is you don't have to necessarily be cap compliant in terms of like your roster in the playoffs, but the 20 guys that you write on the lineup sheet have to be cap compliant. So you can't all of a sudden have a $110 million roster because everyone got healthy magically in the playoffs. Like, I feel
I kind of like that. Like, who cares at this point? If you're gonna give teams a loophole, let them exploit it. Like, I kind of like how guys have, because here's the thing, like Tampa, they had a 100, they had what, $110 million.
It was like 113.
They were $16 million over the cap or whatever it was, like something like that, or it was $26 million over the cap or something like that, because they stashed Kucherov and I believe Sergachev and Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine, but like, so it's like the tush push in my opinion, where it's like, get good. Like, the teams who want to get rid of it, like, why aren't you using it? It's not. There's no rule that says only Tampa's allowed to do this. This is why what the Leafs should have done this year. Let Matthews get his surgery. Put him on LTIR. You have $13.25 million in prorated cap space, and go out and get a big fish. Go out and just trade for Rantanen yourself. And pair him with Marner. Like Vegas does it every year, and they won the freaking cup. Tampa did it, and they won the freaking cup.
The one thing I would like to see, though, if we're not gonna do that with the cap, I do think the NHL absolutely has to find with the tax-free stuff. Like, even though it's not as big as everyone makes it out to be, I do think that is an inherent, like, it's basically a violation of the cap structure. Like, what they need to do is the cap should actually be after tax dollars.
Yeah, or just make
So
a luxury
don't make
tax. Like what? Like how difficult is a luxury tax, man?
Just do something. MLB has a luxury tax. Put in a bird rule.
Put in bird rule.
Put in a bird rule.
Put in aprons.
Make it you can't trade bird rights. You have to draft the player. So like the Leafs could either make it Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner. The Oilers could make it Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. But if you trade Mikko Rantanen's bird rights don't go with him. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. They need to do something to, like, spice this up a little bit. It's just not fun anymore. Yeah. Like, give me some pizzazz.
All right, Rachel.
And change your stupid lottery.
Our final thing of the day. It was something that made me very interested. So.
And then I have a fun story to tell you.
Oh, and then a fun story. Okay. Have you ever heard of the pitcher Patrick Corbin?
Yes. Fade Patrick Corbin Day. I love that day.
So Patrick Corbin, he's a World Series champion. He won with the Nationals. During the his play has spanned 4 presidential administrations.
Yes.
The second Obama administration, the first Trump administration, the Biden administration, and then the second Trump administration. In the Obama administration, which was his, when he first started out, he had a 4.14 ERA.
Okay.
In the first Trump administration, the next one, he had a 3.59 ERA.
Okay.
So
25% improvement.
Pretty good. Then the Biden administration came along. Guy had a 5.71 ERA.
Bad.
That's from 2020 to 2024. Then, sadly, Trump takes over, and now he has a 2.95 ERA. This guy, his ERA is 2 to 3 full, like 200 to 300 points higher in Democratic presidential administrations than it is in Republican
and just for the record,
administrations.
he is still absolutely terrible.
Yes. However,
that's really funny though.
And on top of that, and I again do not like this, there is a tweet from 2020, November 3rd,
oh boy,
on the golf course in Mar-a-Lago, next to Donald Trump, saying #vote, #Trump 2020. This man was statistically the worst pitcher in baseball for the last 4 years.
Oh boy. Yep.
And now he has a 2.95 ERA.
Oh my god. That's tough.
We need to find the opposite of that. We need to find our inverse Patrick Corbin, an absolute, like a guy who, like liberal comes in there and boom. There you go. Opposed to a guy like Mitch Marner, who has sucked through pretty much
every
any administration possible. In Canada, he sucked
and
during
the United States.
He sucked during the Trudeau administration, and he has continued to suck during the Carney administration.
Wild that
Crazy.
Almost every Leaf outside of Morgan Riley has only been a Leaf since Mr. Trudeau was the Prime Minister.
It's crazy.
Because that's how long it was?
Or 2016, 2015, 2016. Boom. All right, Rachel, why don't you tell us your crazy story before we get the absolute heck out of here?
Okay, so last week, so in the United States, they, for our Canadian listeners, of which I know we have quite a few of, their education system is different down here. They don't have publicly funded education the way that we do. So they have to raise money for things like textbooks and normal school things that we just show up to school and are there.
That we take for granted, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we went to this thing called the Tricky Tray, and it's basically a fundraiser for a school. Mm-hmm. And what happens is they get people to donate prizes, and you buy your ticket, and it comes with raffle tickets, and you could put the tickets in. But then there's always an activity or whatever where you can win more raffle tickets to put in for prizes. And there's the prizes that are worth like less than $500, and then there's the prizes that are worth more than $500. For example, like at this one that I went to, you can get like an Hermes bracelet, a YSL bag, front row tickets to Yankees Cubs with club access,
God dang.
a trip to Ireland for a week. Like, this is the level of stuff.
Bougie.
So the activity that you could do to win more tickets was blackjack.
Okay.
And for those of you who don't know, I am a blackjack player, and a decent blackjack player at that. So I was like, you know what? It's for the kids. Like, if I lose money, it just goes to the kids, and if I win money, then it goes to the kids anyways, because it's raffle tickets. So, like, it's a win-win for the kids. I don't feel bad about this. Okay, so we get our tickets, and we put them in. We identify what we want, Nick and I. There is an electric scooter, like one of those, like, that you see those people ripping around Toronto in. And I was like, I want that. That's what I want. I don't want the YSL purse. I don't want the Apple Watch. I don't want the Hermes, but I want the scooter. So I put like 3 tickets in for like all of that stuff. And then I go to the scooter and I win like 40 extra tickets playing blackjack. And I put like 5 to 8 tickets in this thing. Nick goes and puts tickets in like other stuff, and he mistakenly puts tickets in for a coffee basket.
Okay. What's in the coffee basket?
Coffee liqueur, and like like an espresso martini kind of vibe situation. Keeping in mind that I am anaphylactic to coffee.
Amazing.
So,
yeah.
He meant to put it in for the vodka martini one and accidentally put it in for the coffee one and didn't realize. So they start raffling it off and he wins the coffee one. He won the coffee one. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, you gotta be kidding. If this is the only thing we're gonna win tonight and it's not even something we can use because I will die. Lo and behold, all of a sudden they're like, all right, we're raffling off the scooter. And I'm like, I'm locked in, I'm ready. And it's my first tricky tray, like I barely know how this crap works, right? And I didn't tell him that I put extra tickets in, so he thinks I only put 1 ticket in. All of a sudden they call the table and it's like table 2 and I'm like, that's our table. And so everyone at the table starts going like, who put in for the scooter? Who put in for the scooter? And it's me and only one other person. And I'm like, how many tickets did you put in? And she's like, just 1. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I won this scooter. This thing is so friggin' big, Mike. 2 people had to carry it over. They read off the tag and I'm like, that's me! Nick looks at me and he's like, are you kidding me?
What is more likely to kill you? The coffee or a scooter accident?
The scooter. So he won't let me ride this scooter until I get a helmet because he's like, I don't trust you because you're accident prone.
Yeah, you'll text me on like Wednesday at 4:59 being like, "Oh, by the way, I had to get my leg amputated because it exploded in, like in a scooter accident." I'll be like, "Oh, okay." Like, wouldn't even shock me at this point.
I went to a tricky tray having never been there before and I won a scooter.
You came home with 2 lethal things to you, specifically.
I know, literally. One that causes anaphylaxis, which I'm pretty sure we're giving to his sister, and then another thing that, like, there's going to be an Instagram video at some point of me just eating absolute on this scooter.
You'll never live to see the Leafs make the 3rd round again. Like, this is crazy. Oh
all right, so that's my story, and I was like, Mike's gonna get a kick out of the fact that I did this.
God. You're gonna die. It's gonna be ridiculous. Oh my God.
The podcast is over because Rachel had a scooter accident.
Exactly. Well, on that note, everyone say goodbye to Rachel because she is going to die.
And if for those of you who are looking for Hockey Canada trial updates, from now on, every weekend, because we're going to wait till like court finishes at the end of every week, every weekend there's going to be a special episode, so we don't have to put trigger warnings on our regular episodes, so you guys can just enjoy these episodes. These are meant to be fun. And then for those of you that are tuning in because of some of the Hockey Canada updates, there will be special episodes for that where we'll run down the facts, read them off, what happened, what you need to know kind of heading into the next week. So look out for that. That'll drop either Saturday afternoon or Sunday so that you can listen to it prior to the next week starting. And on that note, we will end this podcast. It was fun. Mike's computer just randomly died, so that's cool. And we'll be back next week. And like I said, look out for the Hockey Canada episode. Thanks, everyone.